All right, we're back. This is Maxwell Mortgages, week 5, episode 5, and we're going to title this one Making Partnerships. So, episode 5, week 5, continuing on from last week, we're going to start today with the failure. Um, I believe that this week's failure actually came from my type of outreach when I was trying to make connection with partners. Now, I'll be clear about that because previous videos I had mentioned that I don't want to rely on, realtors or other people. I'd rather go direct to the customer. Right now, starting off, that's tough. So I'll take basically whatever I can get at this point. And some of the advice that I was getting was really partner up with some real estate agents. Now, for those of you who just got into the industry, you'll learn that those partnerships can be very beneficial for both sides. The real estate agent's going to have the home, and then maybe their buyer doesn't have funding, so they come to you. Or vice versa. Maybe somebody walks in the door and they get pre approved for an $800,000 house, but they're not working with somebody, and then you can refer back to a realtor. So it does go hand in hand. Um, Basically, this week's failure was the way that I was reaching out. Now, in this super technological world that we're living in, basically what I did is I generated a website that would scrape all public information, and it would pull together a generated lead source for me to reach out to newly licensed real estate agents. Now, that being said, what it would check is it would check like LinkedIn, it would check mass databases and see who just got licensed. My thinking behind that is because I'm new to the game, they're new to the game. Older people who are going to be working with other people already have those established connections and relationships. Those are going to be harder to switch to a new person like myself. So I'm trying to team up with people like minded and, at the same level, I guess you could say. So at the same level, I'm scraping all these lead sources. I'm getting good hits. I got about 120. I filtered it a little bit more to be more local to me. Ended up with about 80 different leads. So from those 80 leads, I believe only 53 actually were usable leads. The emails were correct, the phone numbers were correct, and that's kind of where the failure comes into play. Now it's did I end up tainting that list before I had a chance to actually get my hands on it and dive in deep to it and do my outreach? What I'm saying is basically, I took that list, I saw it was a big long list. I ended up having email templates, and the way that I went about it, I think, is where my failure was, is that it might not have been personal enough. I don't know, because now it's a very fine line where it's personal or it's not personal enough, or it's just all, it looks like a spam email. So, how do you make those connections? How do you reach out and actually just make the connection and make it genuine? Make somebody read the email without you having to use catchphrases and that kind of thing. Um, Basically, I was having a hard time with that. So I spoke with one of my coworkers. We drafted a template. After making the template, I kind of just blast emailed, it out to 80 people. So out of those 80, like I said, 53 returned, saying that the email address was actually a good address. So I knew that my process was pretty decent. But so far, and again, this was done Monday, and today's Thursday. So I haven't heard back from any of them. Now, I'm thinking maybe I ended up tainting that list, and I'll explain. I don't think that the list is ruined because I think that it's still workable, but I think that it might be tainted. So, in other words, if you were to receive an email from me saying, "Hey, I'm Taylor from so and so, and I want to help you with your mortgage, blah, blah, blah," right? You might see the name, and then a phone call later on might be a little bit weird, and you're like, "Oh, you're that person who sent me that super generic, blasted out email welcoming me, whatever." That's what I mean by tainted. So, I mean, in other words, what I should have done is I should have worked those leads slowly, meticulously, done my research on the real estate agents, looked at it, and then started more personal instead of working the other way around. I don't know. Again, that could just be me, but that's what the show is about, is kind of just expressing what's going on, what I'm thinking about for successes and failures. And that just happens to be this week's failure. I think that I ended up reaching out in a way that wasn't personal enough. Now, I did all the work to get those leads. It's not like it took 2 seconds, but I ended up getting the leads, and what I did with them was my failure. Now, my success, I think, is in itself was being able to use those resources, have the outreach, understanding who that audience could be and where I could get the leads from. So what I actually did, and it did take a little bit of time using prompts and everything like that. We have so much technology, the internet, AI, chat GPT, everything like that. What I ended up doing is I kind of piggybacked off of what a coworker was doing and grabbed an idea. And the idea was to build a website to just basically, he's building like a CRM kind of thing. On my end, what I was building is a lead source generator. So it's a generation machine. And what I did is I went through AI, I built an HTML website, and then I just had it scrape those local pages until I was able to find, and narrow it down and prompt it enough to be able to get those leads. That to me was an extreme success because it was an eye opener. I'm sitting there, wow, it didn't take seconds, it took a little bit of time, but once I got there, I said, wow, what do I do with all this information? I was almost kind of overwhelmed with the amount of information that I got initially. And that's why I'm saying, the failure was how I handled it. The success is how I got it. And now looking back, it really wasn't that much to do where I could handpick and go through, and ultimately I should have researched what the real estate agent, what the company that they were with, maybe if see a profile headshot picture of the person that I'm trying to reach out to. um, you never know. It's small things. You might end up knowing that person or seeing them in passing, and you could say, hey, I just saw you at the bar the other night, or I just saw you at the baseball game. You don't know, but I should have done a little bit more research before reaching out. That was a failure. The success was getting the information. And if anybody is really actually interested in getting the information the same way that I did, I can definitely help you get those same results. If, depending on where you are, it doesn't matter. So you can actually just reach out to me, shoot me a DM or an email, whatever, make a comment, and I'll reach back out to you. And then we can talk about how I ended up making this quick little, search engine for generating lead sources for new real estate agents in the area. You could tailor it to anything that you really want to, but once you know how to use that tool, it's a really powerful tool. So the success is using the tools and everything that's available. I guess even part of it was just listening to what my coworkers had to say, listening to how they were doing things. My quote unquote boss now keeps telling me, follow the leader, follow the leader. To an extent, follow the leader. To an extent, follow somebody else. But there has to be some of your own creativity in there, and there has to be some own personal touch to it. So that's what the success was. I took a little bit of something from somebody and I made it my own, changed it to what I needed it to work for, and I found success in that. So this week was pretty simple. I just want to leave you with the last question. In a world that's reverting back, so in a world that's so full of technology, are we reverting back to wanting more of a personal touch? Let me rephrase. Emails are the least personal thing, in my opinion. A phone call is more personal. An in person connection, greeting, a coffee break, shaking hands is the most personal connection that you can get. Now, where is today at with all the technology? So, with emails, with LinkedIn, with Instant Messenger, with all these different social media platforms, direct message, email, whatever, are people now really looking for more of a personal connection, or have they always been? I don't know. In a world of technology like this, it's easy to get caught up in. Like I said, it's super easy to get caught up in. So just try your best to figure out what is working best for you. And I think for me, it's that personal connection. I would have rather given them a phone call, which I'm going to still do. Again, I don't think the lead list that I generated is ruined. It's just tainted, as I call it. But since it's tainted, I want to go back and I want to do my due diligence. I want to do it the right way that I think that demonstrates my core values. I'm going to call them, talk to them, and explain to them, and then maybe follow up with them if they want me to. But other than that, I'll leave you with this. We're still not there yet, but we're getting there. And this was week 5, episode 5. Thanks for watching the podcast or the YouTube show. Thanks for being here. Please reach out with any questions. And again, have a great day and enjoy.